Sup, Tube? Probably just a quick one tonight. A lot of people have been talking about what is the difference between the Gen 8 and the Gen 9 and the Wells for that matter. Wells? Is it Wells or Well or Noel or Chwell? I don't know how to pronounce it. Well, call it Well. I'm just going to get myself set up as per usual. What's up, Jordan? It's cracking. All right, so hey, Grease and Beats. So it has been a little while, not that long, maybe a week or something, but I have been very busy doing things. But tonight I've got a couple of hey, you get the mags? Sweet. Buy the mags, guys. They're awesome, by the way, just in case. Just in case you hadn't heard. Low Guido's Chop Shop limited edition magazines. Also with extended function. You can buy them from me. And if you do, it's going to help my channel out because YouTube doesn't help me out very much and no one else does. So, you know, you can buy these. They're cool. Do them for Gen 9. Man, hey, you know what? You know what? Look at this. This is a Gen 9 receiver. Oh, look at that. How cool is that? So they are a bit tight, but they do work in the Gen 9. Can't get it out now. There is a trick with the Gen 9, and I will get to that actually. So this is the lower receiver on the Gen 9, and let me see if I can get some light in here. This bit here is the go. All right, so I don't know if try and get some light in here so you can actually see it. All right, see? Can you see in here? Just there? No, you can't because it has no macro. All right. Basically, this little section in here is too narrow for the Gen 8 mags. So you get like a standard Gen 8 type mag. It won't go in because that bit and this bit just won't go. It's just, you can see there, it's just the hole is just a bit too narrow for this part of the magazine. And we can do this scientifically, I suppose. So this is 12.7 wide and the Gen 9 10.7 wide. Now it's interesting because inside here, you guys probably can't see it because my lighting is terrible, but can you see that? Hang on. So if you look down in there, the casting, oh, there you go, you can sort of see it. Can you see the casting in there? The way this is cast, it's like they've purposely narrowed that section. You can see the top of the casting is actually wide enough it's quite wide at the top of the casting, and then it narrows. So I don't know if you can actually see that on the camera. Just in here. Yeah, so basically the casting is wide enough, and then it gets narrower for no known reason. Like, there's no reason that I can see for that to be narrower. Here. So you can see it starts off. There you go. There it is. There it is. See here? That lip? So you can see the top half of the molding is quite nice, and then it gets narrower for no notable reason. Now, what you can do is you can just get a small square file. Get a square file like this. Just get it down in there. And you could just widen this section in there just a tiny bit. It's only got to be 1 millimeter each side. And once you widen that out in there, you will be able to fit the Gen 8 mags into it. And that is what I would be doing, and in fact it is what I will be doing to this one, and I've already done to that other one. Alright, next thing I want to just talk about is the differences between the Gen 8 and the Gen 9. So obviously you can see they're different. Here's the Gen 8, here's the Gen 9. The motors, for all intents and purposes, I think the motors are identical, albeit this one's got the longer shaft, but I think they're pretty much the same otherwise. The cylinders are identical. The nozzles are identical. The tappets are identical. The plungers are identical. The gears are slightly different. You can see that the standard Gen 8 ones are a white nylon, whereas the Gen 9 ones are like a more sort of off-white nylon, which I think means they might have a slight bit more fiber reinforcement in them. Don't quote me on that. I don't know for sure, but you've got 8mm bushes instead of 6mm bushes. Looks like. I'm just going to measure that to be sure. Yep. So bigger bushes. They've gone from the brass bushes to could be a stainless bush maybe. I'm not 100% certain what that is, but it's not brass anymore. The old ones are brass. The major difference or upgrade or whatever that's noticeable here is your safety on your Gen 8 is basically, it's like can fire, can't fire. No, the Gen 9 doesn't have a motor shim. The Gen 9 is actually really weird with its shimming arrangement. So that's the pistol grip. I'm going to get to that. I'll get to that. But yeah, so basically on the safety side of things, your Gen 8's got can fire, can't fire, can fire, can't fire. That is all there is to it. There's no semi-auto, there never was. It's just a little piece that blocks you from pressing the switch with the trigger. That's all there is to that. However, in the Gen 9, we have this selector plate. This little lever down here is your safety, which is the mechanical safety, which when you push that up, it actually pushes a thing in front of the trigger so you can't pull the trigger. When that goes down to semi-auto, you can pull the trigger. And then when it goes to full auto, you can still pull the trigger. But the difference is that when it's in semi-auto, in here, behind this plate and where that little spring is, there is a rocker that you can't quite see. But basically, every time the sector gear goes around one rotation, it moves that rocker and disrupts your fire. So proper semi-auto selection. That's not too dissimilar to the Wells gearbox. You may be mistaken for thinking this does look a lot like a Wells gearbox. It does look like a Wells gearbox. It's not the same though. There's subtle differences. They use a negative trigger, which is the industry standard, which is the way it should have been done on the Wells. Not a positive trigger. The contacts for the mag are built in here, both of them built in, both of them wired internally. No weird, stupid blue wire coming out of here and running around and getting in your way all the time, like on the Wells. You can see this tab here, it is designed to fit the Gen 8 style mag, so those terminals meet up and that tab pushes down the button that releases the balls. So that's designed for that. The other major difference between the Gen 8 and the Gen 9 is the T-piece. That's the major noticeable one. The T-piece is not fitted. It is a different thing, and it lives up in the receiver, in the upper receiver. So that's the Gen 9 T-piece. It looks to the naked eye almost identical to the Gen 8 T-piece, but it's not. It's got some locators on it, and basically the locators allow it to slide into this top and bottom slot here, and then that piece sits into the top of the receiver, and then your outer barrel support screws into that. So that is that's a major difference. So that needs to be in the correct upper receiver, and that needs to interface onto the top of that. Otherwise your T-piece won't line up and you won't fire anything. So you have to have a specific Gen 9 upper receiver that can hold the Gen 9 T-piece. And again, it's not the same as the Wells T-piece. The Wells T-piece is designed so that when you drop your takedown pin at the back, you can actually fold the whole receiver forward. You cannot do that with the Gen 9. It's unfortunate. The pistol grip, I'll get to now. There is 4 holes in the bottom here, and there is 4 holes in the pistol grip. Well, there's actually there's 4 holes for the bolt, 2 holes for the wire, and 1 for the shaft of the motor. So, I mean, 4 holes for the screws. There's obviously more than 4 holes there. But it's interesting the way they've done this, and it's a little bit ugly here how they've actually had to sort of half cut into that hole with this hole because of the placement of where they've put the screws. The well and most other AEGs only have 2, sort of diagonally opposite, and the offset of them is different to the Gen 9. So you can't just get a well grip and bolt it on and off you go. I have got an AEG grip that's going onto this, and it's over here. So basically what I've had to do is modify it to have, because it had the original hole, so I've had to modify it to be in the location where the Gen 9 holes are, because they're just ever so slightly off. So it's a bit ugly, but it will do the job. You can make that fit, and that will go on there without a problem. So that's cool, in a way. Now, yours doesn't have the half moon. What is the half moon? I might have missed that. Would it still work with only 2 screws? Yes, but you'd still have to move the holes, because the holes aren't in the same spot. Even if you use the 2 diagonal screws, they're not in the same spot. I've got 2 Gen 9 handles here, 2 stock Gen 9 handles. They both have the same hole pattern. I don't know. Yeah, so probably the most important thing that I've noticed with the Gen 9, which makes it a bit better than, say, the Well gearbox, which is albeit very similar, here, and the Gen 8 as well. If you've ever seen a broken Well gearbox, you see they split here. This is where they break. It splits down here, and this front section comes away. You can see with the Gen 9, that section has been significantly strengthened. You can see how much thicker it is just in that section on both sides. You can see they've actually molded quite a bit more material into that section to make that weak point, which is the weakest point in the gearbox. So they've made that section a lot stronger by molding. Like, there's a good 2 millimeters of extra plastic in there, which is cool. Another cool thing I like about the Gen 9 is this. You may notice in the top of the box there's this little notch here, and that just means that you can do this. What I've done here, run the wires up here, little button there, mag priming. So then when you get your upper receiver, and this goes in your upper receiver, when you pull that charging handle, it will actually prime the mag. So that will, when that's, it's difficult to locate this properly because it should actually have the T-piece in there. But when the T-piece is in there and everything's located correctly, when you pull this, it will prime the mag. And you can see this has been designed intentionally. This little ramp here, there it is, just here, that little ramp. Oh, focus. Yeah, so that's the ramp that presses the mag priming switch when it is installed. So that's cool. Where can one get the switch to fit that? Well, if you did happen to buy a genuine wiring loom, which nobody does, who does that? If you buy a genuine wiring loom from like a Scar or something, where is it? There we go. It has that switch on it already. The exact same correct switch. You can just go to JCar and buy them. That's what I did. Just go down to JCar and buy them. Or you could probably get them online, even cheaper still. Probably like a couple of cents from China. I just bought it from JCar because convenience. Alright, so For comparative purposes, I don't have a well gearbox on me at the moment, but I do have a well cylinder. It is a fraction shorter, like not by much, but it is a fraction shorter. Now, whether that means anything in terms of compression, probably not, but it does mean that they're not interchangeable across the two gearbox designs, because this one would simply probably fall out at the back. It wouldn't just wouldn't situate in there properly. That's the bulk of the differences. Most of this is pretty much the same. The switching obviously is not like the Gen 8 switch. The Gen 8 is just a little micro switch, trigger presses and micro switch. The Gen 9 actually has a proper trolley, which pushes your contacts in there. So it just jams one piece of metal in between two other pieces of metal and joins the contacts together. That will probably have a significantly higher amperage rating than one of these micro switches, for what it's worth. These micro switches can't take a whole lot of current, and once you start getting like really hectic, they will burn out. Dinner bell, John. Oh, you know, you got to do what you got to do. I just came back from the club, had a nice chicken schnitty with gravy. So I'm good on that front. But you go knock yourself out. I'll catch you on the reruns. Need to reinforce the rear of the gearbox. I don't think so. The rear of the gearbox looks solid. Looks quite good. And this this spring retainer looks heaps better than the Wells as well. The Wells spring retainer looks like it was made very cheaply. One of the other cool things, probably the coolest thing about this Gen 9 receiver is this. Like, barrel nuts just... I mean, the standard Gen 9 has a delta ring, which screws on there, which is cool, you know, but if you did want to, say, do something like this, it is as simple as just screwing your barrel nut. I'm sure I've got one kicking around here somewhere. Here's one. Alright, so you can literally screw the barrel nut directly onto the end of your receiver, and then you can like fit your whatever aluminium handguard that you want on the end of that, and that's good to go. It doesn't have the threaded buffer tube. It does have this, which is quite interesting. It's got these two tabs here and a screw in the middle, which is cool. And the reason for that is AEGs run something very similar. AEGs run something very, very similar. So that is an aluminium buffer tube of sorts. I just need to get the interface. And you need like a really long screwdriver. So, pretty sure that's the thing. So this kind of goes in your buffer tube there. I'm sure there's some sort of technique that you're supposed to follow to get it in there, but I'll just go with dropping it in. Seems to work. Alright, so that drops in there. Then you have this really long screw. And with that really long screw, I'll need a really long screwdriver. I don't have, so I'm just going to make one. from one of the many Phillips head bits that I have here. It's Phillips number 2. And the way this works, just get your Phillips number 2. You put it down in there. I'm sure there's like probably an easier way of doing this that I'm somewhat missing. Alright, bear with me. Tweezers are going to probably do the job for me, or skinny nose pliers, one or the other. As I said, I'm sure there's probably a technique to this that I'm just not familiar with. Alright, so have your screw there, your weird little interfacey thing, and your really long screwdriver. Now, if you can get that awkwardly on the head. Alright, so that now screws into the back of the buffer tube of the lower receiver. It's the lower receiver. Screws into the back of the lower receiver like that. There is a captive nut inside inside the receiver there. Bear with me if I'm not doing this on camera. Oh, there we go. That's a good shot. You can actually see me doing it up. All right, cool. Gen 8 still has its place, Luke. Gen 8 definitely still has its place. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. If you're wanting to do a conversion of some sort, then absolutely Gen 8's so easy to do. You've got the barrel and everything there. You got the motor attached. I mean, this gearbox will fire as it is. All I need to do is put a ball or two in there and it will fire. Whereas this won't. It needs the pistol grip attached. It needs the T-piece interface to line up in the receiver and all that sort of stuff. So it needs all that properly lined up. And yeah. All right. So here's the cool thing. So the buffer tube bolts in there like that. So that's going to be nice and solid. Like you would have to snap this whole end of the receiver to break that. This also screws into the back of the gearbox where the spring retainer is. Now the standard spring retainer is plastic, so it doesn't really do much. But if you get the updated one with the metal retainer, you may notice it's actually got a hole threaded down the middle of it. And that's what this is about. So when you screw this buffer tube in, not only does it screw the buffer tube into the back of the receiver here, but also screws into the back of the gearbox, screws into the back of the spring seat. And it therefore anchors the spring seat and the back of this into the receiver and the buffer tube and the stock. So any forces on that spring receiver that might, potentially want to have a detrimental effect to the back of this gearbox are actually taken up directly into this stock. So once you screw an aluminium stock into there and upgrade this to a metal one with a thread in it, I'm not sure if the plastic one actually has a thread or not. Let's see. No, the plastic one's not threaded, but it does sit in there. Point is, you're not going to have to worry about any of these breaking once you've got that screwed in and screwed into the gearbox, because that's going to hold it in there sturdy. And then, yeah, the cool thing is with that, you can then put whatever stock on there, and you just run your battery wires from your gearbox. They come out of this hole down here, and then they just pop up into there, and then the wires run into that little slot in the hole. Battery still goes there in the stock. It's pretty cool. I've seen the same sort of system on AEGs. It seems to work for them, so I think that's a good thing. Like the other type of nylon receiver, like this one that has the threaded section where you can actually screw the buffer tube directly into it. That's pretty cool as well. Oh, look, there's the aluminium, what do you call it? Spring retainer that I was speaking of. So if you put that one into your Gen 9 gearbox, you will find that this screw will screw into that spring retainer, and then yeah, screw that screws in there and keeps it all nice and tight and solid. So that is cool. So aside from not being able to just chuck this into a random thing and having your barrels line up, I think the Gen 9 it's definitely a good thing. It's definitely a step in the right direction. Internally, it's very, very similar to the Gen 8 still. Power-wise, you're probably fully modified Gen 9, fully modified Gen 8. They're probably going to be pushing about the same sort of numbers anyway. You'll get more current out of the switch in the Gen 9 than you will in the Gen 8. But I mean, other than that, I think internally, like if you break it down, motor's same, gears more or less same, plunger, nozzle, same. They're basically the same. This is just a slightly more upgraded design with a few extra additional features, like semi-automatic and the nylon receiver. I do like the nylon receiver. They're pretty cool. I do like that you can just screw your barrel nut onto the end of the upper receiver and then swap out whatever. I don't like that you have to file out the inside of the magwell, but oh well, you know, you got to do what you got to do. The other thing which is worth mentioning, if you are going to do a if you are going to do a aluminium barrel upgrade or whatnot, what have you, you will probably need to buy this piece, which is a threaded adapter for the T-piece. Let's show you what it is. Alright, so there's your T-piece. Like I said, it does look a lot like the Gen 8 T-piece, but don't be fooled, it's not the same. It does have a little flange here, which interfaces perfectly with that front of that gearbox. And then you've got these tabs, top and bottom, that allow it to seat into either the standard plastic adapter like that, or if you want to do a barrel upgrade, you will get the aluminium one, which I have on here, which is it's basically the same thing as that. It's got your, I mean, it's in there I've installed it in there now, so it's pretty firm. But it's got the slots for your barrel, but it also has the thread so that you can just thread on your aluminium barrel outer onto it, which is a reverse thread, left-hand thread, 16 mil left-hand thread, I believe. I can check that. Bear with me. Sorry, 14 mil. 14 mil left-hand thread. So it is a 14 mil left-hand thread. It does your head in when you're trying to screw it on because it is left-handed thread. But yeah, once you've got that, you can screw on your aluminium barrel of whatever length you want, and then that's usually got the same 14 mil reverse threaded thing. So if you wanted to, like, then, I don't know, add on more, or silencer can or something like that, you can do that too. Put that on, do that, and then your barrel nut, actually, when you do your barrel nut up onto the receiver, that's actually what holds that adapter flush up against the end of the receiver there. So that holds that in tight so that barrel can't come out. And then once you've got that all sorted, you can then slide on handguard of your choice. Maybe not that one just yet. Okay. So yeah, slide on handguard of your choice and then tighten bolts or what have you. So that is all the good fun stuff about the Gen 9. Is there anything I've missed? Anyone got any other questions? Nice springs. Where's the rest? Ha! Those ones, yeah. The rest is here. It's all here. It's all in the box. This is pretty cool. Metal Gen 8. Maybe putting that together soon with those selection of springs there. Basically seeing if we can break it. Put the stiffest springs into metal Gen 8 receiver gearbox thing and then spring it up till it breaks and see if we can do it. What spring would I recommend for Gen 9? The spring that, like, okay, so I chronoed the Gen 9 that I've got here. I think it was pushing 260 out of the box-ish. So, I mean, that's pretty good. I don't think, I mean, if you wanted to, like, really up the ante, you could put, like, a 1.3 or 1.4 in there and, you know, go for your life, but you don't need to do a whole lot to the Gen 9 to upgrade it. It's already a pretty formidable sort of. Any other rifles I'd like to see other than AR-15s? Yeah, you know, there's so many different types, but the problem is, like, this sort of Gen 8 gearbox really lends itself towards those type of AR style rifles. In case you are wondering, this receiver here is it's going to be like I'm making a Remington-ish RSASS, which is why I've got this particular handguard here, like that style of handguard. Obviously, it's going to have the receiver is going to be a bit wrong because using the AR type receiver, but yeah, you know, we work with what we got. I mean, once you start buying all the like little bits and pieces here, and you know, your various stocks and things to fit it up and all that sort of business. You can make it whatever you like, you know. So like this is, you see where I'm going with this. Yeah. So I mean, you can just make it whatever you like, pretty much. Like this one's obviously going to be similar to an RSSIS. It's not going to be the same, but you know, close enough. What spring would I recommend for Gen? I said that one. Anyone else want to see a foul? I wouldn't mind a foul. This is quite a. I mean, I know one exists already. No, not a foul. Sorry, bear with me. I really want an MP5K, and I know one exists, but I don't have one, so I'd really like one of those. Do I know where I can get a trigger switch for a Vector V2? I'm just trying to remember what the trigger switch for the Vector V2 is. I thought it was just a micro switch. Should just be a standard micro switch, yeah? Shouldn't be anything too special. Pretty sure about that. All right, so I think pretty much said all I have to say about that. I do have some more videos to shoot, guys, that I know I've been talking about for a long time. I've got the barrels, the stainless steel tight bore barrels that I've been talking about. I am in the middle of filming a video for this. The problem is that doing the comparisons, I have to basically, after each single test, I have to pull the thing apart, swap the new barrel in, put it all back together again, and then film the test again. It's very time consuming. But I will get there. I'm getting there. Is it different gear? Yeah, hell yeah, it's different gear ratios. Actually, that's one thing that's probably gonna go into this this other box that I'm building over here. Probably gonna put some really low ratio gears so it can pull back a hectic spring. Everyone seems to want to go to higher ratio gears because they want faster. Adam Dean, I have so many people from all over Australia sending me their either broken blasters or blasters they want upgraded or whatever. I have so many sending that I don't have the time anymore. Like I've got. Yes, so that's it. Yeah, oh yeah, that's something that's significantly missing from gel blasters is a decent bolt action rifle. There are none. All the ones I've seen so far are pretty garbage. So as far as I'm concerned, anything that doesn't have a Gen 8 in it, not interested. Can you make a Gen 8 single fire? if you put a MOSFET in it, you can. I think. Should be able to program it in. Yeah, M24, I'm not holding my breath, John. Not holding my breath. What looks promising about it, just quietly, like between you and me, what do you think looks promising? Is it the FPS or is there something else? Because like I saw the video of like them shooting it and getting some fairly high FPS, but it still didn't impress me. Can you? Yeah, I'm not buying it. I don't buy it. I mean, it's not that I don't believe it's doing 250 FPS. I think that's easy for it to do 250 FPS. I just think that it looks pretty weak. I reckon the bolt handle's probably going to snap off. I reckon it's I don't know. It looks fairly weak to me. But yeah, I'm gonna call it a night, guys, because I want to actually film some more stuff so I can put some videos together for you guys for YouTube. I do like this live streaming bizzo, but I also like to have like more structured videos as well. Hopefully I can do both. I'll definitely catch up with you all next time. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, subscribe now, because Tactical Edge has got like 4,000 subs now, so we're lagging behind. Got to catch up. All right, I'm going to call it a night. I will catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.